We have another team to talk about this week. However, it's quite the opposite of what Portland's doing. We're going to talk about a team that's really been struggling as of late and quite frankly hasn't been talked about much, and it's the Orlando Magic. Now, we saw last year this team make the playoffs for the first time in Paolo's second or third season, and there was really a lot of promise with this squad. They almost beat Cleveland in the first round before bowing out in Game 7. And this year, they were off to a hot start. They got, obviously, KCP in the offseason, drafted Tristan da Silva, and things looked good. Then Paolo goes down. And then we see the rise of Franz Wagner, and they start to look really good. They almost, they make it out of their in-season tournament group. And then Franz goes down. Then Jalen Suggs plays really well, and then he goes down. And then all three of them came back at the same time, and now it's just not working. So the Magic have lost 11 of their last 15 games. This is spanning back to January 15th. In that span, they are 30th in offense, and they're 16th in defense, which equates to 28th in net rating at negative 10.3. So just nothing's clicking at all offensively, even all year, because I looked at their first 41 games before January 15th. They were 28th in offensive rating, but here's the change. They were second in defense up until January 15th. So that equates to 11th place in the NBA in net rating at 1.8. So it's a humongous shift just from the defensive end that's kind of lowered this team. And they've been a slow team all season. I mean, in their first 41 games, they were rock bottom in pace. Now they are 29th in pace, so it really doesn't matter. They're just behind. I think they're just ahead of us with Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. So just not good. And quite frankly, the main issue I'm seeing with Orlando is what we saw with Boston a few weeks ago, just jacking up so many threes, and they're not making any of them. Paolo himself. Paolo's been struggling a lot over the past few weeks. He's averaging 19, 7, and 5. Good numbers. His efficiency's garbage. Shooting 39% from the field, 25% from three, 63% from the free throw line. He's averaging 3 turnovers a game. Three. And as for the Magic as a total, in their last 15 games, they're 30th in three-point percentage. 29% from behind the arc is gross. So that's essentially the gist of the Orlando Magic. I'll let y'all take the floor here. Any thoughts?
Listen, I'm happy he brought this team up because I'm not worried about this team at all. I think it's just a rough stretch for them. Everyone's back besides Mo Wagner. We know how critical he is to that team.
Yeah.
But we'll get into the next segment. You'll see how I rank them, and it's pretty good for their standard right now. But I think the All-Star break is needed because this team, I think, will regroup and rebound fairly well. Like I always said about Cleveland, they're too good to be bad. And I think that's the storyline with this team as well. The depth is there. I think the much-needed 4 to 5 days off for Paolo to, I guess, regroup a little bit, Franz, all the other guys as well. The no moves at the deadline really is a little iffy. I think they should have gotten another, shooter. They're very lackluster on shooting. Franz isn't really a good shooter.
Wasn't KCP supposed to be that? You spent $66 million on him.
Yeah, I know. But I think they need more shooting, and KCP, of course, is not that guy for them right now.
He's not that
No.
I mean, their bench can shoot. Cole can shoot. We forget about Gary Harris, but he's been kind of getting garbage time minutes.
He's washed now, unfortunately.
But I think shooting should be their priority in the offseason as well.
Yeah.
They lack on shooting, which is the big thing. But I'm not worried about them. I think they're going to come back really strong. They're a really good young team. They remind me of Houston. Of course, Houston took that step forward this year. And
just because they're young or the style of play?
I think the youngness. The young guns coming up. I think with Houston, you have Amin that took off this year. Şengün. Jabari Smith is coming back, hopefully from injury soon. Jalen Green as well. Reed Shepard will take off hopefully soon. And all their guys on Orlando, they have taken off. Paolo and Franz will take a major step forward next year, hopefully. Franz took it before his injury this year. Suggs, I want more out of Suggs. I think he needs to show his Gonzaga days where he was a dog. I think we need that from him. I love what I'm seeing from Goga. Stepping in really well. For Wendell Carter, he is now starting over Wendell Carter, which I think is much deserved for him. Goga. Jonathan Isaac's looking a little better. I think we'll see. I mean, they have a tough couple 5 games coming up. They're playing their next 5 games. 2 of them are against the Cavs and the Rockets.
I'm checking right now the strength of schedule rankings. Let's see where Orlando is.
They're playing some tough. No, they're playing the next 5 games. They're playing the Grizzlies and the Mad Cavs. And then they have
Grizzlies, Cavs,
Wizards, Magic. No, Wizards, Hawks, Warriors.
Well,
Those are their next 5 games.
The good news for Orlando fans that the Magic have the 24th hardest remaining schedule left in the NBA. So, because you still have to play Cleveland twice. You got to play Boston. You got to play the Lakers now with Luka Doncic. But, looking on the other end of the spectrum, you have to play the Wizards three more times.
Right.
So that's good. You still got to play the Pelicans. You got to play the Raptors twice. So opportunities for you to grow from there. But, nothing's guaranteed in the NBA. And, teams around you, like the Magic are 9th in the East right now. This is not good. And, me all season, I had to pick one team.
Magic are 7th.
Oh, they're 7th. They must have rose up before the All-Star break.
Yeah, they're
But, I put them 8th in my preseason rankings. I've been regretting it all season, and now it looks like I might be right. Because I just needed to pick one team to kind of fall backwards. I didn't really expect them to be this injured. I just thought maybe they overachieved last year in the playoffs and they were going to take a step backwards. But my biggest issue is that they made no trades at all this season. They were one of 4 teams to not do anything at the deadline.
What was something that you would have liked to see them do at the trade deadline?
My trade was perfect. Colin Sexton.
I don't think
he's not a shooter.
I don't think a shooting guard. I don't think a point guard was necessary because now they're in prime position to go get Trae Young, but at least get a shooter.
Yeah,
like you didn't have to pour out the assets for Cam Johnson, but someone should have been available. You could have at least pried Duncan Robinson away from Miami, something like that. I don't think
about like a Dalton Connect from the Lakers.
You would have had to probably
give up a lot.
I don't think the Lakers they want a lob threat. So Mark Williams suited that.
Okay.
And that's kind of what it was. You easily could have gotten Quentin Grimes from Dallas, considering he was just given away with a second-round pick. Like, that's something you could have done.
DeAndre Hunter.
I think they were going to send him to a contender.
Yeah.
So, because, I don't think anyone the Magic were going to send back is better than Karis LeVert and Georges Niang.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think it's kind of fair enough to say that. But I don't really like what I'm seeing from Orlando, and I'm very worried about Paolo Banchero. Very worried about Paolo Banchero.
How many games has he played since he's been back from the injury?
17.
17 games. And
he's averaging
nothing that he's shown you is...
Right now, from what I'm seeing, he's very passive on both ends. He's struggling to shoot. He's shooting 25% from behind the arc. He can't even make free throws right now.
Is he settling? I haven't been watching the Magic much, but does he seem to be settling for
he seems to be doing. It's a mental thing. When you're injured for a long time, it almost you're scared to do some things because you could get re-injured and stuff like that.
He might not be 100%.
Well, what was it? His oblique?
Yeah, he strained his oblique.
Yeah, he might not be 100%. He might be like harboring the injury and not going full force because of the oblique.
It's possible.
That's exactly what it could be.
But one thing I remember. I forgot who. I think it was Isaac from the Deep Three was saying like, Cade's going to be better than Paolo in however many years. And I replied to him and I'm like, maybe we should start kind of talking about the dialogue of Franz Wagner being better than Paolo Banchero. And I think we should start to talk about it more because I love what I'm seeing from Franz Wagner this season. He's been their number one option over the past 15 games.
Yeah.
So...
Is that an overreaction? Or
I don't know if it's necessarily an overreaction, but look, Franz Wagner could be better than Paolo Banchero without Paolo being bad. Like Franz Wagner could have a higher ceiling.
Interesting.
We just don't know. But right now, he's playing a lot better than Paolo Banchero is right now. And I don't particularly like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean... Whenever I see stats that show that that a team is just chucking up threes, I mean, it's one of two things. I think it's either the team is just not together chemistry wise, like they're just not playing together, like their chemistry is not good, or they're injured, or their conditioning is not good. It's one of those two things. So, not sure what it is for the Magic because I haven't been watching them, but it's one of those things. What do you think it is, though?
I just think they're kind of just struggling collectively right now. I just don't really think they're locked in as a group because they haven't really played with each other for all that long. I mean,
exactly.
You lost Paolo 5 games into the season. You lost Franz a month later, and then you lost Suggs for a little bit. So I'm looking at the three-point volume right now. The three-point frequency, the Magic currently cannot even find them. They're like near the bottom of the list.
Oh, so they don't chuck threes.
They're kind of going through a little bit of identity crisis right now.
Yeah.
Now that everyone's back, they could find identity. if they move up the rankings, but it won't be far. It'll probably be like maybe closer to Detroit and Milwaukee, which is like a 5-6 seed.
Yeah.
That's probably the highest they'll go.
I think they'll be fine, honestly. I think their offense, that'll come along, but don't focus on that. Really just focus on their defense because that's what they were good at.
Yeah.
Right.
They were number 2. Focus on getting that back.
That's fair.
And then we'll see where you go from there.
Yeah.
I think right now you do the best you can, and if Trae Young becomes available, go get him.
Yeah.
They need a point guard
Okay.
desperately. That's their biggest problem right now, I think,
Right.
is they don't have a floor general.
And Suggs is not that guy.
Suggs is really a 2 guard.
Yeah,
You really
he's a
can't
2
make
guard.
Suggs play the point.
Okay.
He's a decent playmaker, but come on, when you're comparing him to Trae Young, who's leading the league in assists,
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's something they need. If they really want to be in the conversation with Cleveland and Boston, that's what you have to do.
Yeah. And then Atlanta enters full rebuild, and then you just
Exactly.
that's how it goes.